For those of you guys that are wondering why I haven't uploaded a video in 7 days, this is why.
Enemy kill. One enemy remaining.
Oh my god.
How do I record again?
Yeah, I've just been really addicted to a game called Valorant. It's been a ton of fun, and I might consider uploading a couple videos on that, so stay tuned. But nonetheless, what's up everybody? Watt007 here, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. In today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video, we're going to be taking a look at some brand new leaks. Huge shout out to the homie Random Plugs for data mining all of this content, and we're going to be checking all this out over at duellinksmeta.com. Not sponsored, nothing like that, but you guys know the drill. It's just where the leaks come from. So we're going to be taking a look at all that stuff right there. Cannot wait to talk about today's leaks, especially for the fact that we're going to be taking a look at some content related to Crashtown Kalin and a couple new cards. So hope you guys are excited for today's leak video, and the return of Watt007 is here. Man, it's really weird to think about that I haven't uploaded a video in 7 days, but we back, baby. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing that we're going to be taking a look at is some new item IDs and new mat and sleeve IDs, and these item IDs and mat and sleeve IDs are actually really cool. So for the item IDs, we have a Harmonica, we have a Dual Disc, and then we have Duelist Road City of Outlaws Crashtown title. Now, this is very important because of the fact that this basically confirms that we're going to be getting a new event related to Crashtown Kalin, and this will make some more sense on some of the skills that we'll talk about later in today's video. Now, what I'm afraid for when it comes to this event is that on paper it does seem like that we're probably going to just have a kind of like gate unlock event, where it's just the event where you just auto duel, you get a bunch of, you know, the event item, and then you can just farm the character and then eventually lock him. I hope that they don't do it that way, but that's what it kind of seems like to me at first. Fingers crossed though that they do something cool with the whole Crashtown duel style, because if you guys never played the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2011 game over the Nexus, they actually featured a lot of the Crashtown stuff in that game. And what was really cool about that is that they actually had a duel style for the Crashtown stuff, where if you clicked a bunch of buttons on the DS before the duel started, whoever would click them fast enough would be able to go first. Maybe they'll incorporate something like that, because I mean, we have Dual Disc as one of the items, and the Dual Disc could probably mean the little cool Dual Disc from the Crashtown arc, because they actually have a Dual Disc that's shaped like a gun, which is really cool, and hopefully they can incorporate something like that. But I'm just kind of afraid that it's just going to be a simple gate event, but hopefully they can incorporate something related to the Crashtown shenanigans, which would be really cool. We also have a new mat and sleeve ID, which is also awesome, which says Team Satisfaction, so I can't wait to see what that looks like, because it's clearly just going to have all of the homies from Team Satisfaction, aka the Enforcers, if you guys did not watch the sub, and it's going to have Yusei, Jack, Crow, and Kalin all together back in the day. That would be a cool mat and sleeve to have. Hopefully they don't put a Duel Links logo on that and just have just those four. That mat and sleeve would look awesome, so I can't wait for that. Now let's jump to the juicy stuff of today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. And today we're going to be taking a look at some of the new skills supposedly for Crashtown Kalin. And the first skill we're going to take a look at is Avenger from the Gravestone. This skill states you can start the duel with one Infernity Avenger in the graveyard. If you have a non-dark monsters in your deck, the skill will not activate. Now, for all of you guys that don't know who Infernity Avenger is, this is a card that is actually already in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It's a level up reward for Dark Signer Kalin, and I'm going to go read it real quick, because before making this video, I didn't even know that this card was in the game, because Infernities are just not played at all. And let me go read the card anyways, because it actually combos well with this skill. Infernity Avenger states, when a monster you control except Infernity Avenger is destroyed by battle with an opponent's monster and sent to the graveyard, while you have no cards in your hand, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. In that case, the level of this card is equal to the level of your destroyed monster. This card has 0 attack and 0 defense. Now, Infernity Avenger did not see that much play when it was in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, but I think that's mostly because of the fact that Infernity is just not that good of a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So fingers crossed that when Crashtown Kalin does come into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, we'll get some really spicy Infernity support, and maybe if we get lucky, we can get a new box related to Infernities, which would be really cool. But nonetheless, though, this skill has the potential to be really good for the fact that you get to start the duel with this card in the graveyard immediately, and since this is a card that utilizes its effect from the graveyard, since you just pitch it right there at the beginning of the duel, you can really get combos going and go for some spicy synchro summon action. Now, there's a small chance that this card could get used in other decks as long as they're purely dark, but clearly this would work best in an Infernity deck, because Infernities want to have no cards in their hand to go for all the combos. But it is interesting to know that this skill technically is viable in other decks that are just only dark monsters, and which I think is pretty cool. So this card is going to be pretty good for Infernities if Infernities get some support, and it could potentially be good in a deck that can utilize this if it's just a pure dark deck. But still, I feel like it's only going to work for Infernities for the fact that you do need to have 0 cards in hand. But still, Avenger from the Gravestone does seem cool. opens up some synchro plays, and you get to pitch this guy to the graveyard. It's very similar to what grows in the graveyard from Akiza, so we'll see if that skill sees play when Crashdown Kalin comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Now the next skill we're going to be taking a look at is a skill called a Spirit Who Just Tear Off Cards. If you have 0 cards in your hand and you have a 0 attack Infernity monster on your field, you can activate this skill. Put 1 Infernity launcher from your deck to the top of it. You only can use the skill once per duel. Now for you guys that don't know, Infernity launcher is already in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, but Darkseid Kalin was the only person to be able to use it, and it wasn't attainable when you were able to unlock him. So he had it in his NPC decks, but we weren't able to get it either through level up rewards or whatnot. And let me tell you what, this card is actually pretty good because it really gets the combos going for Infernity. So just to refresh everybody, including myself, I'm going to go read this card for you guys and explain why this card's pretty spicy. So this is a continuous spell that states once per turn you can send 1 Infernity monster from your hand to the graveyard. You can send this card to the graveyard and target up to 2 Infernity monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. You must have no cards in your hand to activate and resolve this effect. So as you guys can see right here, this card is really good because you get to pitch your Infernity to the graveyard, and this helps out because Infernity want to have no cards in your hand to trigger their combos, so it pitches them to the graveyard, and then on top of that you can send Infernity launcher to the graveyard to then target 2 Infernity monsters on the field and special summon them on the field. And what's cool about the skill a Spirit Who Just Tears Off Cards, this skill only works if Infernity launcher is going to be attainable to us in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So, because it states, if you have 0 cards in your hand and then 0 attack for any monster in the field, you can activate the skill, or you can put an Infernity launcher from your deck to the top of it. You only can use the skill once per duel. So this skill is pretty much confirming to us that Infernity launcher is going to be a card available to us when either Crashdown Kalin comes into the game, or if they're going to be releasing a box for Infernities, which means that you can probably use Avenger up from the gravestone, which you start off the duel with Infernity Avenger in your graveyard, and that's already a target that you can use to trigger Infernity launcher, because it starts off with Avenger in the graveyard thanks to the other skill that we talked about earlier in the video, and then you can trigger Infernity launcher's effect where you can send an Infernity monster to your graveyard and then just trigger Infernity launcher right away. So that's pretty cool. Of course though, with Infernity launcher you do need to have no cards in hand to activate and resolve this effect, but still it's cool that this skill, a Spirit Who Just Tears Off Cards, confirms that we're getting Infernity launcher outside of utilizing skills, and then on top of that we can combo it with other skills. So I think Avenger of the Gravestone is going to be even spicier than I thought, especially for the fact that this skill right here, Spirit Tears Off Cards, basically confirms that we're getting Infernity launcher through either a box or a level up reward for Kalin. So I'm looking forward to this. Maybe Infernity is going to be a spicy deck with the introduction of Crashdown Kalin. I'm very curious to see what's popping right here, so that's awesome. Next skill we're going to take a look at is Meeting with the God of Death. You only can use this skill once when you receive effect damage from your opponent. Add to your deck, to your hand, 1 Infernity Doomslinger. Now, before I give my thoughts and opinions on this skill, let me go read off the effect of Infernity Doomslinger for all of you guys that don't know what this card does. Also, just a heads up, the reason why the card artwork on the screen right now says Infernity Death Gunman is because Infernity Doomslinger was actually never printed in the TCG or OCG, and the artwork that I'm using for the video is the one from NewLinksMeta.com, and they were using this one from DeviantArt that says Infernity Death Gunman. So just full heads up on that. This card's called Infernity Doomslinger, and I know on the screen it says Infernity Death Gunman. This card was a Tag Force 5 exclusive, never got printed in the TCG or OCG, and yeah, there you go right there. But let's go take a look at this card. This card is a level 1 Dark Fiend effect monster. If you have no cards in your hand, when your opponent activates an effect that will inflict damage, you can remove from play this card from your graveyard to negate the effect damage you take. Your opponent then chooses whether or not to apply the following effect. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a monster card, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the amount of effect damage you took this turn plus the amount of negated effect damage. If this is a spell or trap card, you can take damage equal to the amount of effect damage you took this turn. If your opponent does not choose to apply this effect, you take no effect damage this turn. This card has 100 attack and 100 defense. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that this skill right here, Meeting with the God of Death, is going to be that good of a skill, and I think it's just one of those skills that is just getting added to the game as a reference to the anime, because I know that I said that Infernity Doomslinger is also just exclusive to Tag Force 5, but at the same time, this card was also showcased in the anime, so I'm just going to guess that it's just one of those skills that just references to the anime. We've been getting a lot of skills like that for a lot of our characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Like, for example, DSOD Yu-Gi Moto has like 2 to 3 skills just referenced to the anime and movie and whatnot, so that's definitely what this skill seems to be to me. I don't think that this card is going to be used too much because it's a super situational card where you only can really trigger its effect if you take effect damage, so it's just kind of like it's whatever to me, but it's still cool that we get a cool reference from the anime thanks to the skill. Now the next and final skill we're going to take a look at in today's video is called I Was Faster, and this skill states at the start of the duel the player who starts replenishes 2,000 life points. So I think this kind of confirms it for me that they're probably going to incorporate some sort of way to incorporate Crash Town dueling in the new event for Kalin, which I'm looking forward to, because like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want this event to be just a lame gate duelist event. Hopefully they can incorporate some cool ways to relate to the Crash Town event and give a lot of references to it. And with this skill right here, that might be the case. That might be the case right here, because it says at the start of the duel, whoever starts replenishes 2,000 life points. And if I'm reading that correctly, it sounds like whoever like goes first and wins the you know, duel or whatever, wins a little rock paper scissors fight right there, you get 2,000 extra life points. You start off with 6,000 instead of 4,000, so that's really cool right there. Definitely looking forward to the new Crash Town event. And while this leaks, or while the leaks don't confirm that we're getting Kalin anytime soon, hopefully fingers crossed we get him in July. I think that would be a really good July event. Get another 5D'S character to add to the roster in between all the Dark Side Dimension shenanigans, and then yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. So that's awesome. Now the final thing for today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video, we're going to be taking a look at 3 cards that got rarity changes, and the first one we're going to take a look at is Foxfire. Foxfire is a level 2 fire power effect monster. During the end phase, this card is destroyed a battle and sent to the graveyard this turn, and was face up at the start of the damage step. Special summon this card from the graveyard. This face up card cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. This card has 300 attack and 200 defense. Now, my thoughts and opinions on this card is that it's like a whatever effect. I mean, if it gets destroyed into the graveyard, you can bring it back to your field, maybe go for some synchro summon plays in the future of the duel, but like at the same time, it's just better cards than Foxfire. There's a reason why this card is switched to a rare rarity and not anything else. Maybe we'll see this in like a new box and just extra cards that they're gonna throw in the next box or whatever. But yeah, Foxfire, it's whatever, it's neat, but I don't see any practicality with it. Next up, we have some more Dragunity support, but keep in mind that both of these Dragunity cards I'm gonna talk about in today's video are just normal rarities. But anyways, this is a level 2 Wind Dragon Tuner monster. If this face-up card is destroyed while in the monster zone, you can equip it to a face-up, a winged beast type Dragunity monster control, and sending it to the graveyard. This card has 1,200 attack and 800 defense, so not a horrible effect. You get to bring it back from the graveyard onto the field as an equip, and then you can go for combos right there. But at the same time, there's better Dragunity cards to run over this monster anyways, so I don't see anybody using this in Dragunity deck, but it's cool. Maybe somebody will figure out something spicy with it, but from on paper and from what I've played with Dragunities, I don't think this card's gonna see that much play. And then the last card we're gonna take a look at is Dragunity Bloom. This is a level 3 Wind Dragon Tuner monster. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 Winged Beast type Dragunity monster from your hand, equip it to this card as an equipped card. If this card is equipped as an equipped card to a monster, the equipped monster can attack the opponent directly. If it attacks using an effect, the battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is halved. Now this card's a little bit better than the last one we took a look at, because if you equip this to a Dragunity monster, you can allow your Dragunity monster to do a direct attack. Now sadly, from what I know with Dragunities, there's not really a good equip target to equip it to. And this card doesn't really have any good methods to equip itself to any monsters. The only monster that I can think of that it can equip to it right away would have to be Dragunity Knight, VAJ, the UR one that's a 6-star wind monster. Because when that card synchro summoning, you can target a 3 or lower Dragunity monster in your graveyard and equip it to this card. So I mean, you could do that, but then you would only be able to do a direct attack with at most 1900 attack, because this card does have the ability to double its attack, but then you would need to have 2 equips to it, and it's just a mess. I think it's just too much effort to go for the direct attack with Piltem, but Piltem does have Piltem has some cool effects for it, but at the same time it's just too much effort to pop off with those effects, where it just makes it not worthwhile to go for this card compared to other Dragunity cards. So cool card, but I think it's too tacky and can't really go for any good plays, and that's probably why it's also a normal rarity. And that's going to be it for today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video. Hope you guys enjoyed today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links leak video, and if you guys have, hit the like button on the video down below and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll go see you guys in the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. Adios, everybody.